From the Sundance Film Festival, I'm Zach with Art and Amanda, and we're talking about the world premiere of Fresh. Fresh is the debut feature film from director Mimi Cave about the horrors of modern dating when Noah, played by Daisy Edgar-Jones, starts a relationship with plastic surgeon Steve, played by Sebastian Stan. She finds he has an unusual appetite. This is playing as a part of Sundance's Midnight section and will be out on Hulu March 18th. So we'll do our best to avoid spoilers. So yeah, if you want a fresh experience of Fresh,
which we recommend,
maybe click out, come back to this when you get a chance to see it. If not, we're gonna, avoid the big turns here. Amanda, speaking of those spoilers that we want to avoid, did you find the twists and turns of Fresh's story surprising or satisfying?
They were definitely satisfying. I feel based on the description, I kind of guessed where it was going, but there was other angles they could have taken it. So, when it kind of gets to where it is. But it's really engaging. Like the entire time you're like, what's going to happen next? And there's so many moments where you can just start cheering and just get really engaged with what's happening on screen. Every time you think one thing's going to happen, it kind of pivots in a different direction. But then it was still like a really satisfying movie overall.
Yeah, like it still has those like horror things that you're, I think, hoping for in a movie like this. It's something in the Midnight section compared to those Midnight movies, those like horror movies. Does it deliver on the blood and bodies that you're expecting?
Easily. I think out of all the other ones that have come out in the Midnight section so far, we haven't seen Piggy at this moment yet, but I think Hatching may be the only thing that beats this one. But I think it delivers not only on the shock factor of it, but also, I want to say every single movie this year kind of has a message going with it. I don't think this one's too overabundant for what it's supposed to be, commenting on dating and commenting on bodies.
I wouldn't say the message is really like necessarily the most like novel thing about this. Maybe the approach to how to deliver that message is. It is a movie that I think is a little bit patient in delivering some of the gorier elements of it. It has a pretty, explosive finale, I think is a word we could use without revealing too much. But like, while it takes some time to get there, I think it pays off for the things you're expecting from a film like this. Yeah. So both Daisy and Sebastian have some kind of twists and turns in their characters along the way. What did you think of their performances?
They were really good. I know that there's a lot of Sebastian Stan stans out there that were just flooding this, so excited, and I don't know how they're going to take it, but it's just a really good performance from him, like really quirky at times, but then really well delivered, and then her performance is just so like genuine and natural until she kind of falls into the kind of stuff that she probably never thought she would. And I feel like they had really good chemistry off of each other.
There's moments where you feel like it could just sort of twist into a romance and it wouldn't be like out of place given their performances.
At one point I was expecting like different twists to happen. I was like, are they going to go this direction? I don't know what they're going to do. Like, very engaging the whole time and great performances.
Totally. You were a fan of them in this movie as well?
Same. I think that a lot of people are coming in for Daisy because she did the show on Hulu. So
Normal people,
they're like really already expecting her to have this kind of relationship drama. And you get a lot of that at the beginning, which I thought was the best part. As a part of the Sebastian Stan hive, we really appreciated this performance. I thought it was pretty good. But what I also liked about it was this comes from the cinematographer who did Midsommar, who did Hereditary. So I think that's another aspect of it that they do really well, especially when it comes to the props. I do feel like we will have an ending segment that does talk a little bit about spoilers because we don't know what they're going to reveal
in the
trailers. Because they also do a cool thing with the titles, which is another debate we've been having all together. But even with that, it almost feels like they're saving something, so that you go into it fresh.
Before we get into any spoiler stuff, Art, I know you like to dive into the Q&As and the filmmaker interviews. Do you find out anything interesting about Fresh?
Not really to do with the movie, but there's a competition. Will Ferrell's producing one movie. Adam McKay's producing another one. Adam McKay's producing this one right here. And considering the little beef that they've got going on, I think right now I'm leaning towards the Will Ferrell one. But Adam McKay produced this one, supposedly had a lot of helped the director a lot while he was actually filming what's it called on Netflix right now?
Don't Look Up.
So he added a lot of his input in there in terms of how to make it satirical and stuff. But for the fans of Sebastian Stan, this man supposedly met with psychologists. I'll just put it there. You'll see wherever his character goes. But he also shadowed for documentarians. Specifically, he said he was following Alex Gibney and I won't spoil because that man makes a documentary every single year.
Right.
Yeah.
It was one of his most recent docs that's on HBO that he was just there with him, kind of just like seeing whatever he was informing him on. He would then take that and apply it to his role. So he took a big bite at this role and went at it. That's all I'll say about Sebastian.
Yeah. So I think we would all pretty much recommend the movie.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorites of the festival.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was satisfying. I don't know if I really loved this one, but it's enjoyable and it delivers on the things that you really want for. I think you mentioned the prop work. The prop work is really the thing that stood out to me in some of
And
this.
I want to tell you why too,
Right.
Because the prop people had to go a little bit further than most prop people have to. So
Yeah. So at this point, like if you don't want any spoilers at all, you can click out. But just to dive into them a little bit, what are some of the things that you did want to talk about that was so exciting about the way they approached the
well, sometimes you have props, but you don't usually have to eat those props. So when you have to eat said props on the set, you then have the prop masters actually have to taste it. Right. You don't know what's going to be what in terms of a story that takes this route. I'm actually pretty curious to see if they don't reveal I guess we're in spoilers, and this is yet again another warning. The eating aspect of it, is that something the MPAA pushes? Like, does it say, yo, there is cannibalism in this bad boy? Right. Or is that just considered like gore? I don't know if that's I don't know if the MPAA
Yeah, right. Like,
that.
will the spoiler or the ratings spoil the twist in the movie?
Yeah.
Because the other thing that you mentioned is that this movie almost goes Drive My Car's length without giving you those opening credits.
Oh, I love that.
Specifically because they want you to think that you're in there watching a romantic comedy that may make him creepy, and then just takes a complete other turn.
See, that's the thing is like maybe the fact that it is in the midnight section at Sundance spoils the movie a little bit, because like if you went into fresh, not even knowing
The description of the movie.
Right.
You would, because even the picture makes it look like a rom-com.
it really could be a rom-com. Yeah.
Maybe he's just some creepy older dude who knows what's happening, but but it's more.
Yeah, I do think that it got satisfying towards that end when, it really is like bloody and people coming at each other with knives and stuff. I think it took a little while to get into it in terms of like actually giving you those little those delicious elements, if you want to call them that. But it is satisfying ultimately, and maybe more so than I thought it would be when I started. The finale I think is really fun.
Yeah, just to offer like the opposite perspective, I was really engaged from the beginning because I'm like, I know this is in the midnight section. I know it's going somewhere, and I'm also just a really big fan of like these post-adolescent coming of age stories, as they call them. So people kind of like trying to figure their shit out, even if this is less of that and more like dating is a struggle, and I don't even know if it's worth it anymore, and like the nature of like online dating and dating apps and stuff like that, and her thinking she just kind of met this guy generically, and how nice is that, how great is that?
Yeah, the humor really does help sell out.
It does.
It's not
It's
taking
very
itself
charming.
seriously. There's like a Patrick Bateman-esque quality to the Sebastian Stan performance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's very goofy and fun, and then when it hits that title card, I was already on board, but then it just really amps it up from that point on. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm excited to revisit.
Totally. One of the more satisfying horror movies coming out of Sundance so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely.